I already shot this video, but I was not mic'd up the whole time. So let's do it again. Hi, I'm Colleen. I'm a person. I like to read and I like to write, but I do whatever on this channel. And today, I wanted to really talk about comfort movies. I have safe movies, and I don't know how they are chosen. There is no rhyme or reason to how I choose them. I have a lot of, I'm very prone to like anxious feelings. I get anxious a lot, and whenever I'm like overstimulated or stressed about something, I want to watch movies where I can predict what's gonna happen.
Do not psychoanalyze me.
I can't be the only one. This has to be a thing that people have, right? Who else? Who else has safe movies? I don't know what else to call them, because that's what I've always called them. And hopefully I'm not the only one. But yeah, I'm going to talk about my safe movies. They're not, as I said, there's no logical explanation to how these are chosen. It's just the things that I watch over and over again, probably like over 50 times each, and can quote, probably can recite the whole movies and shows. It's not just a movie, some are shows, just something really close to my heart, I guess. And yeah, I'm gonna talk about them in the hopes of finding out what yours are. Maybe you can recommend some to me, your safe movies, and maybe I'll like them and they may be chosen as a comfort movie of mine next. That way I can expand my safe movies list. But anyway, let's get into it. My first one is Ever After. I mentioned this in the previous video. It's a Cinderella themed movie. It's set in France. It's about the Dauphin of France as the Prince Charming character, and then Drew Barrymore is a Cinderella character, and this is a very feminist, I guess, Cinderella, because she's a bit more headstrong, the character. She's a bit more headstrong and outspoken, and literally and figuratively saved herself. It's a fictional tale still, although it does make it seem like it's a historical interpretation, but it's not. It's another Cinderella film. And of course, Cinderella is a great concept and something that people like to this day. It's been remade and interpreted several times. Lily James's Cinderella, Camila Cabello's Cinderella, Selena Gomez's Cinderella, Hilary Duff's Cinderella. There's so many versions of Cinderella throughout the years. It's a classic. It's a great tale. But what I liked about this in particular is the costume design and the set design, but mostly the costume, because for 1998, which is the year that this was released, the costumes in this movie are so great, and I bet it raised the generation of costume designers, because it's such a great, elaborate set of costumes, and I don't know, it's just so pretty. I think Jenny Bevan was the costume designer for this film, and she also did Cruella, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I just love it. I love this movie. I watched it for the first time when I was super, super, super young, because my uncles, they're fashion designers, they introduced it to us. And I remember my uncles would make miniature versions of like the Ever After costumes, so we can dress our Barbies in these Ever After costumes, like the masquerade costume. My Barbie had one of those because they made it for us. And yeah, it holds a special place in my heart. The next one is Grey's Anatomy, season 6 in particular. Grey's Anatomy I've been watching for a while now, and a lot of the earlier seasons are my favorite. I can't say that I'm up to date right now with what's happening with the current seasons, but that era of Grey's Anatomy, like the earlier seasons, I watch over and over again, but especially season 6. It starts with like a monologue about the 5 stages of grief, I believe, and I just loved the whole season because it was so emotional, and the character roster was just starting to undergo the first set of changes, which I was a bit apprehensive about. The Mercy West people were introduced in this season, I believe. Spoilers, by the way. And while I grew to like them, like April and Avery and all these people, I was a bit apprehensive because I was just so loyal to the original 5. And yeah, I love this season, especially the 2-part season finale of this season, because it's such a emotional, very close to reality situation. And it's so... Whenever I need a good cry, I put that on. Whenever I'm like emotionally pent up and I don't know how to expel or release it, I put that on and just cry. My next one is Avengers Endgame, which is a commercially successful film. And I don't know, it's not like... it's a superhero movie, so you know that it's not going to be like Inception or any like highbrow concept or anything. I mean, it's a great movie, it's a good storyline. I think what I love about it is that time. I don't know, maybe it's because it was released pre-pandemic, 2019, I believe, and it represents such a big moment. All the movies leading up to Avengers Endgame, I loved how it was planned and structured, and it was really Marvel's high time. And as far as I'm concerned, the Marvel run really ended after Endgame. And yeah, it was such a special time in cinema too, because it was one of the last big movies that was really super like hyped, and everyone wanted to see it. Everyone saw the movies leading up to those movies because you were following like a mystery and they're dropping like nuggets for the next film with the secret endings. It was such great marketing strategy. There's a factor of like cinema not being the same post-pandemic. There's not really much hype. I mean, people still see movies in the cinema, but it's just not the same. And yeah, I think Avengers Endgame was one of the last, like, really, everyone was there, and it was packed for several weeks after the initial release, and with people as well. It was such a different time. Pre-pandemic was such a different time in a lot of people's lives, and I think the nostalgia of that time period plays a part in my affinity for this film. My next one is Mulan. And I guess by extension The Little Mermaid as well, because whenever like relatives and family friends would ask me to sing anything when I was a child, it was always Reflection or Part of Your World. Those are my two like staples whenever I had to like sing for a relative and stuff. If you're not Asian, you might not get this, but if you're Asian, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, it's always like a talent show whenever you're a kid and relatives are over. With Mulan in particular, I grew up watching this film and watched it over and over again. I loved how much of a warrior she was. And as I said in the previous video, I really have a soft spot for that scene where she climbs up that pole with the gong looking things on her wrists. Just the determination and how she was animated, her expression, like she was struggling, but to persevere, like you're dangling from that point. And yeah, figuratively and literally fighting to succeed despite it being hard, and it's just a very one of my favorite visual representations of like, even though you're struggling, you still are so determined that it doesn't even matter if you're struggling, because you will succeed and you know it and you are working for it. And yeah, whenever I'm doing anything like errands and chores around the house, I put that on. But once that sequence comes on where she has to climb the thing to get the arrow, I stop whatever it is I'm doing. I stop. I have to watch that part because it's such a special sequence to me. The next one is Jurassic World, the 2015 one with Bryce Dallas Howard and Chris Pratt. We went through a phase, my mom and I in particular, during pandemic, where we watched a lot of movies where there's a huge monster, like Godzilla, King Kong, Rampage, Megalodon. All those movies, we watched it one after the other. Jurassic World was one of them, because it was the pandemic and there was a lot of chaos going on, and there were so many horrors in real life. We just wanted that stability almost of watching something more chaotic and more outrageous and more unbelievably like chaotic situation, so that the real life situation would sort of pale in comparison. I think that's where our heads were at that point. And yeah, that's why I watched Jurassic World and Jurassic World stuck. My next one is Coraline, which is an animated stop motion film, and everyone knows about it because there are so many internet theories about the other mother and the other family. And I really, really love it because there's such a great contrast between it being a stop motion film, like it's technically cartoon category, but the concept of it is a lot more eerie and sinister, and even the source material of it is a lot darker. It was a bit more family friendly when it was made into a stop motion film, but the eeriness and the theme and how this setup was created is still like eerie and spooky, spooky. And I love that about it. A lot of kids, I think, have the nightmare of an alternate universe where your family has a family of doppelgangers and they look like you and they're evil. And yeah, it's just such an interesting concept to be made into a whole story. My next one is Ugly Betty. Every season, apart from the last season, because that last season I wasn't really into, I loved it so much because I grew up with it, and for 2005 it was a bit progressive, the themes of it. And it's America Ferrera, Vanessa Williams, and Michael Urie and Becky Newton. Mark and Amanda, their characters, they're so naturally funny, and their chemistry together as besties, it's so great. By the way, Becky Newton and Michael Urie, they just started a podcast where they rewatch Ugly Betty episodes. I'm listening to it, well, watching it regularly now. It was just ahead of its time, really. Even the humor in it. Granted, who do I think I am? Granted, since it's 2005, a bit, some of the jokes are a bit more out there than what is accepted right now, but you can still appreciate it to this day, really. My next one is How I Met Your Mother, and it's the same thing. The joke's pretty out there. Not every joke in How I Met Your Mother can be appreciated to this day, but it's such a heartwarming, Friends-esque series that I really love it. And there's a lot of it to watch. So whenever I'm doing tours and stuff, I just put it on, and whichever, especially the earlier seasons, it's so nostalgic to watch them. I wasn't really into Friends that much. I was more into How I Met Your Mother because, I don't know, it was just like high school and I watched it a lot. And I think there are some similarities to the structure, like of the friend group of Friends and How I Met. But yeah, I still watch it. And while there are some questions and commentaries and violent reactions to how it ended, regardless, the earlier seasons I still like and still watch. Almost done. My next one is Shrek 2. I don't really have to explain. All the Shrek movies are so, I think a lot of people appreciate them and they have a special place in the hearts of the adults now. At the time, it was an out there concept because it sort of took fairy tales and gave it a more humorous approach, and it's so unserious. And Shrek 2, especially with the introduction of the Prince Charming, where he's kind of a douche, and the introduction of a fairy tale world, but sort of a spoof to the fairy tale world, like a far, far away land, and Cinderella's neighbors with Sleeping Beauty and all that, which they carried on to the further movies, that 3 and so on. With Shrek 2, they really expanded the world. I think it's so funny because, as I said, it's a humorous take on fairy tales and whatnot, but at the same time you can still really appreciate the lessons of it as you would a Disney fairy tale. My last one is Harry Potter. The Harry Potter series. I'm a big Harry Potter movie fan, and In particular, Harry Potter 2. Any of the Harry Potter movies. But 2 especially, because with the other movies, they sort of, at some point in the movie, they venture out somewhere, which is fine. It's an adventure series. I think what I liked about 2 is a lot of the things happen at the castle. It's so Hogwarts, and it just shows a lot of Hogwarts and like classes and stuff. And as a kid, you see that in some magic school, and it's just so fun and whimsical. And up to now, it holds such a special place in my heart. I really love it, and I probably have it memorized. What are your guys' comfort movies, like safe movies that you watch over and over again whenever you're stressed or feeling down or overstimulated or anxious about stuff? And what do you put on that calms you down? Let me know. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe if you want to, and I will see you guys next time. Don't forget to tell me your movie.